Hello and welcome to Flippin Through, the internet's #1 vintage Mad Magazine review and news site. Before I get right into this, I would remind you, please, if you haven't subscribed, please do that. Share this, hit like, I don't know. The more people that see this, the better, I think. I'm really having a lot of fun making these videos. And I'm spreading my wings a little bit. I have conducted an interview with an artist from Mad Magazine, and that'll be coming out on Wednesday. I'm not going to say anything more about it. You'll see it on Wednesday, but I'm super excited. My very first interview, and I had just a ton of fun talking with him. So with that, we have Mad Magazine number 51, came out December 1959. The cover price 25 cents, and that is indeed cheap. So one thing to point out is, with comic books and magazines, they have things like this, the date, December 1959. Now, that is for the newsstand. That's not actually for the consumer. This magazine probably came out in October, maybe October or November, and they have this so that it looks like it is good beyond its days. So, It's released, but the cover date is December 1959. What you'll see, not on this, but on old comics, sometimes you'll see some color here, like blue or green or yellow. And what the newsstand would do is, because they would have all of these things, they would just look for that a certain color, and they would know, all right, I got to get these off the newsstand, and they would yank them. So by the time December or January rolled around, then they knew, okay, I can remove this from the newsstand. And it had at least 2 good months on the newsstand. So sort of a fun little trick. I don't know if it's fun, but it's a trick that the publishers would kind of do to make it look like it was a new magazine, even though it maybe wasn't new any longer. So with that, we have this beautiful Kelly Frieze illustration. This is an image you've probably seen a number of times. I know I've seen it. First, we have this slightly disturbing female, Alfred E. Neuman. I'm not sure if they ever named her. I believe in one of my recent videos, I'll put it up there. I'll do the work to figure out which one it was. They were having some type of naming competition for this lovely lady, but I don't know that they ever got around to it. So we have Potter Zeeby High School. Is it Potter Zeeby or Potter Zeeby? I'm not sure. But one thing that I never really noticed about this image until now is it came out in 1959, and unlike Norman Mingo covers or even other Kelly Frieze covers, there are these like heavy black outlines on almost all of the elements of this illustration. And it gives it like a cartoony effect, an effect a lot more like modern cartooning. I don't know. It's a lot of the work that they had put out seemed more painted, and so this gives it like just sort of a different look. Hey, low key, I think I have a crush on Lady Alfred E. Neuman. I'm not gonna lie. So anyway, the back cover. This is an issue that I still haven't read. I bought, and it's been sitting in my collection for a while. And just now taking it out, I discovered this. So we have this kind of spoof on a De Beers ad. But I don't know what was on the bottom there. I'm going to have to check out the MAD cover site, which is, of course, the go-to resource for all MAD Magazine information. I mean, I think, could I use the term literally? It is literally an encyclopedia for Mad Magazine. I'm not sure. Anyway, so here we have a Hames. At first I thought it was like a Hamm's beer ad, but no, Hames is in Hanes underwear. One kind of husband, 2 kinds of underwear. Is that stained? It's disgusting. Why do you suppose so much Hames underwear for all kinds of husbands is bought by their wives? Because women have an uncanny knack for picking out designs men wouldn't be caught dead in, no less by themselves. That's why we run these ads, which encourage wives to buy their husband's underwear for them. Mainly, we're trying to get rid of all these shorts with ridiculous designs we're stuck with. I mean, people really love underwear with kooky designs, right? Isn't there, I think there's like some internet underwear company where you can buy wacky design underwear, and you can even buy it where you match your wife's wacky design underwear, and then your dog has a collar that matches it, which I think kind of crosses a line personally. I don't know. So here we have our table of contents, our vital features, advertising slogans, the price is all right, Treasury of unknown poetry. Is that a Frank Jacobs? We will see. Testing civilians for space, adult education, hide a bed, grandstand football, and teenager magazine. So, look at this. See, these are these cool shirts. I want one of these shirts. And is this the straitjacket? That's what I need. That is what I'm searching for passively. It's a passive search, but I want to get one of these straitjackets. And I would, a nice runner-up would be one of those old T-shirts. But here are two Mad for Keeps and Mad Forever collector's items. I have one of these, but I don't have the dust jacket. It may be Mad Forever. I'm not sure. It actually belonged to my father, and he passed it on down to me, and I treasure it. So here we go. Advertising slogans will replace everyday conversations with art by Wallace Wood. Story by Frank Jacobs, my man. Love Frank Jacobs. So I'm kind of scanning these illustrations. These are beautiful. These are absolutely beautiful illustrations. We got Moxie in the background. Under Wood, there's his signature. All right, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm not speaking at all about these. This reminds me, though, how often do people speak through advertisements now? Like, so much humor is so referential to not even pop culture, but just to, I guess to pop culture too, yes, but it's referential to, like, advertisements, or you are acting as an advertisement when you're just quoting television programs mindlessly. So, at a press conference, Senator, what do you think of the world situation? Clear heads agree, it's better. Is this that's like an Alka-Seltzer thing, isn't it? What do you think of the president's latest speeches? Outstanding. And they're mild. It's a cigarette ad. One last question, sir. What will you do when disaster strikes? I'll jump for joy, because then maybe we'll be rid of all these darn advertising slogans. What will you do when that's got to be an insurance company. Here we go. Don Martin Department, the man with the sprung neck. So, all right. I'm going to talk about this in a sec. So, this guy has a jacked up neck. The doctors come and examine him, smash him around, spin him like a top. Oh, look at, they're befuddled. They're nonplus. And, he spins like a top. That's very amusing. Here's something, though, is, so this is, what, it's a 10-panel comic, taking up 2 pages. So the conversation I had with the artist, it's really hard for me to film this and not talk about something I'm going to put out after this. But I started talking about these panels, and Mad Magazine came back to these sort of like very short, fairly short comic strips with panels. But when they came back to it, they didn't give the amount of space to these new artists like they did with Don Martin or Duck Edwing or Al Jaffe or any of those guys. And I think in hindsight, you might say, looking back with 2020 vision, well, that's because these guys are Don Martin, Duck Edwing, and Al Jaffe. But, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I think this is too much space to give this gag. I think this could be told on one page. And I think looking at some of the modern Mad issues, there are comics that they give much less space and cram a lot more jokes into. And I almost think that had they given them room to breathe a little bit more, they would have been creating more popular strips for their magazine. Anyway, that's my soapbox. So the price is all right. Art by Mort Drucker, story by Larry Siegel. Larry Siegel is a name that shows up a lot in these, but he's a writer that I don't know that much about. Frank Jacobs is somebody that, I mean, I love Frank Jacobs. I think that he uses so much illusion that sometimes it can be confusing, his writing, especially the song stuff. If you don't know the song, it's very difficult to get the humor in it. But the writers I know much less about than I do the artists. I feel like, I mean, these are wonderful caricatures. I have to say, the more I look at these earlier issues, I feel as though I like Mort Drucker's caricatures a little bit better in the earlier years. I mean, he's starting to find his own style, and it's like it's a caricature, it's cartoony, but it's not as exaggerated. I don't know if that's like sacrilege for me to say that, but here we go. Art by Bob Clark, story by Al Jaffe, painting by the numbers. Before painting by the numbers, there was room for error. Would-be artist doesn't know where to start, so he guesses. Result, he winds up with poor outline drawing and layout. Look at that garbage. Next, he starts coloring in outline drawings with paints. Paints in foreground, designed with nice attractive colors. Paints in background, designs with more attractive colors. Wonders what happened to everything when he finishes. With painting by the numbers, there is no more room for error. Would-be artist is supplied with a professional outline drawing and layout. All he has to do is read the numbers. Take tubes of paint with corresponding numbers and fill in marked areas. Results is a perfect picture every time. Who are these people? Who are these people? Listen, I know I sound Frank Jacobs obsessed. That looks like Frank Jacobs. All right? I don't care. So this must be, I guess, when Paint by Numbers like first came out. Paint by Numbers is still popular. I have a coworker, and she was telling me at lunch, she said, I just get a nice glass of wine and I work on my Paint by Numbers. It's like, well, that's lovely. Look at that. You found something. You found a creative outlet. It's like, I imagine it's like putting together a model, right? Like, you can't really poo-poo Paint by Numbers because, like, I put together model cars. I'm not building a car. I'm putting pieces together and painting it. It's like nobody poo-poos putting together a jigsaw puzzle. Why are they looking their nose down at looking down their nose? I mean, at those poor artists who are painting by numbers. Here we go. The Mad Treasury of Unknown Poetry, Volume 2. All right. So some time ago, Mad number 43, we dedicated our pages to some brilliant but unknown new American poets in an effort to help those talented young writers get what they deserved. Since then, we have found several more who deserve the same thing. So here's the Mad Treasury of Unknown Poetry, Volume 2. I was wrong. Tom Koch is the writer. So at first I thought it was, there was that poem by the unknown poet who, or maybe it wasn't an unknown poet, but of the ship sailing on through the sea. I forget the name of it exactly. It was in one of those early issues that I have. And it was a real poem. It was a poem that was actually published, and I guess it was public domain, so they published it again and added some nice illustrations. These are On the Road to Louisville by Rudyard Kipling. Killer Boy Ferd by Eugene Outfield. The Spaniel by Edgar L. and Moe. Once upon a midnight cautious, while I pondered, weak and nauseous, over some advertising copy I had wrote for Macy's store. While I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a yapping, as of someone loudly yapping at my office door. "'Tis some client there," I muttered, "yapping at my office door. Only this and nothing more." That's beautiful. Hold on. No, I'm done. I'm done with that. I'm moving on. Another Don Martin. Now Don Martin tells us about the time he joined the volunteer fire department and was assigned to the Life Net Brigade during the Great Hotel Fire. So they're running after it. They miss. Oh, they miss again. Oh, this one, did this person survive? No, they're certainly dead. They finally catch one and they bust on through. I love this. Special report. MAD reveals insurmountable problem while discovering testing civilians for space flight. Art by Wallace Wood again, and story by Al Jaffe. The main problem civilian space traveler faces. These are familiar things that Lester must leave behind. Lester must do without his pleasant hobbies, the delightful puttering around the house and garden. That was me this afternoon. Lester must do without his affectionate relatives and the surprise and pleasure of their unexpected visits. This is me whenever my family comes by. I can say that because my family doesn't watch these videos, so I can say this is my feeling. That's me when my family comes over. Lester must do without his daily commuting, those restful train rides going to and from his job. Insurmountable problem: how to get Lester out of the testing chamber. Yes, unbeknownst to all, Lester has sneaked a portable welding outfit into the rocket testing chamber and sealed himself in permanently before severing communication with the outside world. Lester made one brief statement, printed below, over the PA system. As MAD goes to press, Lester is still in there. Mr. Lester B., the first civilian space passenger. I'd be crazy to go back to them things I had to leave behind. Some beautiful George Woodbridge art. This is, I think, like, with George Woodbridge, what impresses me so much are, I'm gonna try something that I always say I shouldn't bother doing, because it's always sort of difficult to get everything reworked again. I always like looking at Woodbridge art for a number of reasons. One is his style is so loose, but like I wish I had better artistic vocabulary. So it's like loose but tight. I don't know, like everything looks as it should. Like, you know, a railroad track is a straight object, and so he's drawn it just by hand, and it looks as it should. You know, it's like there's like this kind of changing dimensions of it, but it's within an acceptable amount. And so that is, I love his illustrations in that respect. The sort of like kind of looseness also that I'm drawn to with Woodbridge is his faces. So like this guy in particular. So right now there's like a mix, right? So we have the line work, which is lovely. We have some like, I kind of get these mixed up a little bit. There's like the duotone or the duo shade to get like the nice shading right there, mixed with like those inks to get that dark shadow. And then he did some zipatone on top of that for another shade of gray. But I mean, like these, it's just remarkable. I think like the fascinating thing is, so when you're using those, you have to do the pens, you have to do like the inking in anticipation of doing the duotone and zipatone. So the mustache that he drew in, he's just done the little lines around there, and then he's filled it in with the duotone or the duo shade. Leave a comment with a link to a dictionary so I can use these terms correctly. So I mean, like for me, that's fascinating because that's like a very thoughtful drawing. He's filled in like what would appear to be just bare skin, but he's filled that in with the duotone too. The other thing that I absolutely love and can't really mentally process how to do, I'm certain other artists can figure this out in short time, but is how he combines those same tools to create these beautiful backgrounds with no pens. So this is all done with those like shading chemicals or like nothing at all. And so it's just beautiful. I don't know. Like I said, I need to go to art school or get like a book to explain art terms to myself. Anyway, so now that I've talked endlessly about that, these chumps are working so hard and their railroad didn't even line up. So the MAD Guide to Handwriting Analysis. This is very important. You can tell a lot about people's handwriting. I rewatched that movie, Zodiac. It has everybody in it, and it's fantastic. It's like a David Fincher movie, and it's, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's an amazing film. Handwriting reveals a person's interests in life. The rocket launching went off without a hitch. It appears as if we've ironed out all the bugs here at Cape Canaveral. That is, unless something unforeseen. Oh, I love that. To say I had a simply sensational time last night, Steve, and I sure hope we see each other again soon. I was so impressed by your success in the oil business. My address is... Oh, this reminds me a lot of the... they had a gag on... I forget what issue it is. I need to start taking notes. But it was with a typewriter. Art using a typewriter. And this is lovely. Some TV ads that we would like to see. Oh, here, actually, no, I want to look at this. The evolution of the signature. So there he is as a base. Signature of Henry Finster, age 3, shows obvious evidence of very young personality which needs development. Signature of Herman at age 10 shows his personality which has benefited from early experiences at home and school. This is currently what my signature looks like. Signature at age 14 shows development of personality as a result of effective discipline and education. Look at that. At age 21, better rounded personality shaped by 4 years of rewarding college life. 31. Holy smokes, that's a 31-year-old? Yeah, I forgot. People back then really did they really did age poorly back then, didn't they? And now at 45, the advertising executive. Back to his roots. Handwriting is key to character of a person. It's the signature of somebody who despises regularity. He does not hold with the idea of rising early to eat healthy and hearty breakfast. He has no use for milk, fruit, and children. Kellogg was like a minister, and he invented cornflakes. I think it was to stop people from self-pleasure. I believe that was the idea behind Kellogg's cornflakes, is that it would get people in line. MAD looks at adult education. Podrzeby High School, the Division of Adult Education. This is a very wordy one, and I'm already at like 24 minutes, so I'm just going to kind of flip through this. Who did this beautiful artwork? Woodbridge again. I should have guessed. I think I want to look up Woodbridge. Woodbridge, this reminds me, I think Woodbridge, did he do that lovely scuba diving article for Mad Magazine back around this time? A hide-a-bed. Oh my gosh, everything was invented back then. In this era of housing shortages and soaring building costs, houses and apartment dwellings are often limited in size and living space. However, typical Yankee ingenuity has cleverly solved this problem with the hide-a-bed. A hide-a-bed is a device which permits look at this, like an advertiser. They're like explaining what it is. It's a piece of furniture to be used by one purpose by day, but which can be easily pulled out by any powerful 6-year-old child into a comfortable bed by night. That's not true. So here we have, look at his bar. There's the bar hide-a-bed, the television hide-a-bed, the bathtub hide-a-bed. Look at that. That's really good for those lazy folks who have trouble getting out of bed in the morning. Oh, look at, he's in the doghouse. Oh, and all types of hide-a-things. Did I forget to look up who the... Oh, here we go. Dave Berg. Yes. Whatever happened to you, Dave Berg? Like the more early work I see of Dave Berg, the more disappointed I get with his, what is that? Not a mad look at. I forget. The more disappointed I am with his that strip. I can't remember. Like you can see, and like he has more. All right, so this is like that type of like demented face that he got into right there, and with that little girl there. But like, look at this fella. Like that is a lovely character. This lady, a lovely character. We have all. I mean. There's just so much more to his illustrations in this older stuff than there was in the lighter side of. He still does this kind of strange thing with perspective, where is this like, it's almost as if there's like, yeah, nothing is, like nothing on this is in the same perspective lines. But that's okay. It's still like, there's something about it that works, and that I enjoy quite a bit. So yeah, Dave Berg, the more I learn about where he came from as far as being an artist, the more that I sort of dislike where he ended up. Grandstand football. Sorry, guys. I have zero interest in sports, whether they're being lampooned or not. Acne can be fun. Teenage magazine. It can be fun. People are discovering how fun acne is on Instagram, and by posting popping videos, and it's disgusting. But also, listen, I'm going to be honest. Disgusting yet fascinating. I've watched a few. I'll admit it here. So the pen mates. They're looking for pen pals. Look at this guy. I'm 16, 5 foot 8 inches, 162 pounds, and I have brown wavy hair, green eyes, a sparkling smile, dimples, broad shoulders, a slim waist, a well-muscled arms and legs. Actually, I don't want to meet anyone. I just love to describe myself. I'm a cool widow of 4. Oh my God. Who wrote this? Larry Siegel. I'm a cool widow of 14. My late husband and I used to dance on the bandstand show. He was killed while we were fighting 9 other couples for a good camera position. I'd sure like to meet another cute guy of 15, but not for another week. After all, how would it look? I got to stop there. That's like the high point of that article. I cannot imagine that it could be improved upon. So, the escaped convict. Here we go. Keep an eye on him. All right. I got to say, that looks slightly suspicious. Choking him. Oh, it was a lady. How embarrassing. So here we have, I figured out, I've done the detective work, and I understand why this is missing now. Somebody took like their mother's sewing shears, you know, the ones, the scissors that have like the zigzag pattern, and they cut out Son of Mad. So this is where I'm not bothered by getting issues that aren't perfect, is that you get stuff like this where somebody snipped out and mailed in, and they got Son of Mad from Signet Books. And yeah, so maybe I won't get a new issue. Maybe I won't try to find a better version of this. I think I like that. To me, it shows that it was loved. It's almost like, you know, this is somewhat hypocritical of me, but because I don't fold in the fold-ins. I've did it like once when I was a kid and I was filled with regret. But the fold-ins, when I see them folded in, it warms my heart. When I see a magazine, a Mad magazine, and it's not folded in, I think, what psychopath owned this? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you have any issues that you would like to see me review. And with that, toodaloo.